Do you work on behalf of a charitable mission? You know your mission is giving worthy, but still, you struggle to find the support you need to make mission happen. Ask yourself, what do donors want? In this video series, Igniting Philanthropy, TJ McGovern shares wisdom from a stellar fundraising career. The thing he knows for sure: when you engage with people on their giving why, philanthropy is ignited. With TJ, every episode is an expert tutorial. Do your mission a favor. Focus here now. Hello, friends. Welcome back to episode 4 of the Donor Identity Code. What a journey it's been. Honestly, I feel this framework is fun. And that is the best way to be able to learn and really integrate something. We've done 3 episodes, each on one donor identity so far. The first was the savior. The savior responds to human suffering with a near physical impulse to shield. The second was the visionary. The visionary loves innovation and long-term impact and wants to be on the right side of history. I claimed that one a little bit. The third was the outsider. This person is motivated by discovery and being ahead of the curve. So today we're going to talk about a donor identity, which is near and dear to my heart, and that is the legacy builder. So I am going to bring back TJ. Hello, TJ. Good to see you.
Likewise, happy to be here. I got a haircut since the last time we talked, so
Looking good.
thank you.
Looking good. So honestly, of course, you know my website is whatwillyourlegacybe.com. So a donor identity titled The Legacy Builder. I cannot wait to have this conversation. But before we start, I want to ask you, how are you feeling about how we've brought in and introduced the overall framework of the Donor Identity Code?
Really, really good. It's just a wonderful way and a handle to understand the aspirations, personality, experience when you're engaging with your supporters. It's never not been the case for me, and it's comes from almost 30 years of asking that one question: why do you give? And the result of that, and doing that a lot over the years, is the creation of these 5 identities. So once you learn them, and if you choose to integrate them, you cannot not know them, and that's the promise. And we're going to get into the other 2 here in a moment.
The promise is, once you know them, you can't not know them. If you listen to the first few episodes, you will hear us say, oh, okay, it's not all black and white. Some people have a little bit of a characteristic of this one or that one. But generally, it's a framework inside you can build out a successful and thriving fundraising program. And I really love this because this is vitally needed today, TJ. So thank you for, honestly, thank you for your decades of commitment, asking people the question and then synthesizing in such a way that we can now put it to use easily.
Yep. My pleasure. And again, it's a handle, and it's just a general framework, archetype, understanding of what you're engaging, and it helps the organization that you're representing and helps the donor as well.
Yeah, definitely. So let's get into the legacy builder. What's the core idea? What are the characteristics? Who is the legacy builder?
So the legacy builder is a type of donor that is not giving to the present moment. They really want to write a chapter of their own story that extends beyond their lifetime. And this identity is obviously most naturally connected to legacy gifts, or as our colleague calls them, enduring purpose gifts. I think that's a more apt term. But oftentimes organizations reduce those conversations or dialogues to estate planning vehicles and instruments and miss the desire underneath that entirely.
So I love, oh gosh, of course I'm a writer. I love writing a chapter that extends beyond their lifetime. I absolutely love that. Though we may be living in a present moment of crisis,
Mm.
of
Go back.
tragedies, and so on, this donor is someone who has a bit of a future orientation and sees that we're going to, work through and get through, and we need to lay the groundwork now for then. Is that right?
That is correct. And I'd add to that great awareness that this type of donor is reckoning with the mortality and meaning, the two M's, mortality and meaning, and asking what remains psychologically, not demographic generativity, and not so much about age.
Interesting. So, this is something that we know. You did talk about gift vehicles, estate planning, also known as planned giving,
Mhm.
charitable gift planning. And
Yep.
we know more and more that there's a feeling about this that doesn't necessarily, of course, it does happen as you get older. We call it the distribution phase. You get your estate plan in place. But it's really there's underlying this is meaning,
Mhm.
and then understanding mortality can lead to legacy instead of fear of
Yeah.
mortality.
Yeah, this donor code archetype is really motivated by the lasting values that they lived their life, and they want to be remembered with a gift to a charity of their choice. That's what it really is in an encapsulated way, and matter in a way that doesn't end when they do. I mean, no
Yeah.
one wants to talk about their mortality, and believe it or not, some people lead that way when they're engaging their donors. I choose not to. But the legacy and the mistake I see organizations make often is they're leading with that estate planning language. If you Google that, you can get it times 100. But trust, bequests, and as you said, legal instruments. The legacy builder really, really doesn't want to talk about their end. They want to talk about permanence.
Mm. So I learned many, many years ago when I started in planned giving, which was decades ago. I created a question before this was in 2001. What will your legacy be? Because I learned at that time that people do want to be remembered. In fact, one of the most human concerns is about being forgotten,
Yeah. Yep.
or like exactly like you said, to be remembered. Now we could judge people who want a name, we could judge people, who want that, but I don't judge them, I give it to them. And so, and the vehicles, this is a very important piece of our conversation here, because we're talking to fundraisers, and some fundraisers may not have planned giving experience. What you're offering here literally helps them have what we in the industry might call a planned giving conversation without ever once using the word trust,
Mhm.
or knowing what we call the letter salad of the giving vehicles. And so that this is really helpful. It really empowers and sort of informs a much wider group of people.
Yeah, I want to offer, perhaps some have heard of him or some have yet to hear from him, but Dr. Russell James has done some wonderful research on legacy enduring purpose donors. And he said, and I've seen the research, and I'll sum it up here, that bequest decisions light up autobiographical and visualization regions in your brain. And it's important that you understand that when you're having or engaging a legacy builder type, um, they want to see themselves in the story of the organization that continues in perpetuity.
Wow, that's deep.
Mhm.
So I want to invite people to replay here, rewind 2 minutes, listen to that again. First of all, Dr. Russell James.
Ah,
Oh my gosh, talk about legacy.
mhm.
Every time he makes a post, I'm really happy to call this out. He is just prolifically sharing his wisdom. And it is absolutely remarkable. Talk about legacy. As you are indicating, legacy is not just how you are going to be remembered, but what you did in your lifetime in such a way that you will be remembered.
Yeah, and I want to share one story and one observation. When I'm privileged to work with clients, donors that are considering this way to leave that legacy, it's really important to understand what values were important to them in a life well lived and how that will live on in the organization. So, and then a particular story, the organization shall remain nameless, but we were intentional about legacy builders in their donor database. We deployed a simple survey. People leaned in, and this gentleman did, and he showed an interest that, or indicated that this organization was in the estate plans. And unfortunately, he passed away suddenly, and the organization received notification from this gentleman that said, "Yep, I left you in my estate plans, but didn't disclose the amount," which is rare, but on occasion it does happen. He was a postal carrier for 40 years, and his total lifetime giving this organization was probably over those 35 years or so, about $7,000, and left them an $850,000 legacy gift. Now, we celebrated, but I didn't stop there. I reached out to his attorney that took care of his estate. I said, this is incredible. Do you know anything about the story? He's like, well, he didn't have any biological family or children, and he considered this organization his family. That's why he gave it to you.
Oh,
And that's just my nature, because I do like to find out the why.
yeah.
But to go from a lifetime giving about $7,000 and leaving north 850, that this is understanding there, and that legacy builder. And if you're a gift officer, when you're engaging this type, you're a steward of meaning. That's the lens I invite you to look at when you're engaging this type.
I mean, so we're talking about values connection. You said that many times, the values orientation, knowing one's own values and aligning with an organization where your values feel honored. You've mentioned many times the meaning.
Mhm.
And basically, that connects back to your original question, why do you give? And that's, oh gosh, I feel like this angst coming over me of the crowdfunding and the one day campaigns and the automated email responses. Don't get me wrong, TJ, I know we live in this time. I understand the need for automation and systems, but we're here to edify and inspire that if you really want a long-term loyal donor relationship, as I say, this is the way to do it, engaging in this conversation. And so I wrote down the right conversation point to have. This is probably your language. I probably got it from what you said, which was, what do you want to still be true in 20 years because of what you did? If you,
Oh, that's a follow-up question of why do you give once you ascertain what donor type you're dealing with. And myself and others have responded to that question because people have a tendency to give away the money that the way that they earned it over that lifetime. So it's in your best interest to understand whether did they inherit it, did they build it through a business, did they work for 40 years at one place, that kind of thing. So it's also really good, and that question that you said really gets at that. It's really about a values exchange and discovering and playing matchmaker and aligning what they want to do through your organization.
And you can really, if you are able and willing to have an interpersonal conversation, human to human, where you sit down and ask a few key questions, you're going to identify the donor identity. And if you just incorporate legacy in one of your questions and conversation, you're going to know pretty quickly if this donor is a legacy builder.
Yeah, I don't know where the research came from, but I know it's out there that on average, a legacy donor or legacy builder mindset has been giving to your organization for 18, 19 years continuously. And that's usually a really good way to determine the who to have this conversation. But, with the advent of AI and all this automation, you know, there's still a longing to be seen, heard, and understood. And if you bring forth that mindset with, a lot of curiosity, good things happen.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we have to end now, TJ. I can't believe it. We could talk about this for 3 more hours and I could be extremely happy. But, this video series is not designed to be the deep dive. It's designed to introduce the framework and give you a little bit of an idea that there are various identities you can look for. And when you hit on it or some combination, it greases the wheels to be able to help the donor do what they want. So, TJ, where can people find you?
Sure. Visit my website, www.mcgimpact.com, and it will bring you to a site, and just fill out a simple, no friction form and say that you want to receive the donor identity audit, and I'd be happy to send it to you.
Okay, friends, well, stay tuned for the next and final episode because we are going to talk about the donor identity audit. TJ, thank you so much. I'll see you again soon.
Thank you.